Boys and girls, dreamers of all ages, welcome to another Disney podcast with 2/3 of our usual suspects. It is just Brandon and myself this week.
That's right. Back to the well, not really the original, but the second original, like the sequel to the original.
It's since it was chapter 8 and to chapter 9 original.
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Rob is celebrating one of his children's birthday. So happy birthday to Fuzz Jr. I don't think that's his name. So,
to the tiny Fuzz, if you will.
Right. Tiny Fuzz. That is so inappropriate. Okay, let's restart the show. Kidding, we're not restarting. You just stuck with us.
That's right. You get us. Rob's not here. Seriously.
Yeah.
We miss you, Rob, but we'll see you next time.
That's right. We have a riveting topic that 14 people will listen to this week. It's going to be amazing. Okay. For first, news and brews or brews and news. I never know what order it goes in. We should have branded it and marketed it better, but it is.
I mean, I guess as long as we include both of them in no particular order, we've done our part.
I guess it won't matter.
That's right.
What are you partaking in on this hot Florida summer afternoon?
I went with the often boycotted,
never duplicated,
often boycotted Bud Light Lime. It's hot, man. It's very hot in Florida.
Yeah. I get in my car in Virginia Beach, Virginia, I got in my car and left work and it was 100. Right now I'm looking at it on the TV and it says 99 and I left work at like 4:00. It is now 6:43 and we've dropped a full degree.
Hey, that's good. It's only 87 here.
It is a heat wave in the mid-Atlantic that is going to continue into the weekend and there'll be a little bit of relief come Sunday, meaning it won't be in real field triple digits, which will be a welcome. But we went camping last week in Chincoteague, Virginia. We went on the island and we were in the shade where we were camping, but Sunday when we left, it was low humidity and it was like 82. It felt like
winter time.
The most amazing summer day ever. It was really cool. And that was the day we had to pack up. So I sweat a whole lot less than the day we arrived and I set up. I had to set up and immediately go take a shower.
Yeah, that's the kind of weather you live for.
Yeah, which is all riveting Disney content right there. Riveting, I don't know why. This is what people don't realize. This is when we catch up.
Exactly.
So it's like we tell everybody, we tell ourselves what we're doing, and we're like, oh wait, we're not supposed to be talking about that. We should do that on a personal.
Unfortunately, the people are stuck with listening to us talk to each other for the first time in 2 weeks.
It's unfortunate. We've texted a lot, but we're grown men. We don't call and say, "Hi, honey, how are you?" So
what'd you do today? What'd you do?
All the things, then we talk about the temperature of our lives right now. It's stupid. Okay, news and brews. I'm drinking I think I said before we started, the male Karen version of beer, which is again White Claw. It's like blackberry or something. What a weird
black cherry
flavor. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That's the best one.
Okay, all right. Cheers to the male Karen beer.
Cheers.
Okay, news. I'll start off with mine because mine is recent-ish,
and random,
as in today.
Recent and random.
Yeah. So why I brought this one up was it shocked me as to the order, and it'll make sense. So the early Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party date, singular date, now sold out. So it starts August 11th, and that's a Friday night. Now, typically, what we'll see is all of your vloggers, bloggers, news reporters, however they tell the story of here's all the things, you get all the pictures and you get all the videos. It always sells out that first night because they want to be the first ones there to report it so everybody can go online and watch and read about it. Well, oddly enough, it's the second date that is now sold out. I mean, I think I get the why. It's so the opening night, Friday, August 11th, $149, $139 for kids up to 9 years old. But Tuesday, August 15th, it's $40 cheaper to $109. And so it makes sense that that's why it's sold out. But there's 13 dates at $109. Okay, like 6, but there's a whole like all the way through August, except for the opening night, all the way through August is $109.
109. Yeah.
So that random Tuesday sold out before. So I'm gonna go on a bold prediction here. That Friday, August 11th will also sell out because of the aforementioned. Everybody's got a report on it. So there you go. So if you want to know the prices, I guess while we're talking about it, it will range from $109 all the way up to $199 for the last 3 dates, which is the day before, 2 days before Halloween, and the last night.
That's just nuts. I mean, we talk about it every time Disney does one of these specially ticketed events, but like $200 a pop per, for a ticket, and it's sold out. That's amazing.
A crisp $800 for a family of 4.
Yeah, I mean that's you could do a lot of other things with $800.
Yeah.
Now, part of me wonders if the blogger, vlogger, journalist thing is really taking place on Tuesday and not Friday. And maybe that's why it's sold out. I don't know that it has much to do with the pricing of it. Maybe there's something going on with blogging and things like that. Obviously, they'll still be there. Your Blog Mickeys and your Disney travel blog sites, they'll still be there. But maybe there's something going on Tuesday night officially for those folk, and that's why it's sold out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but it's just so bizarre that it's not the first, because if I was of said person, I was like, I'm going to go the night before so I can be, everybody's watching my video and reading my content.
I agree.
So,
and I think the last time you were here and we stayed at the fort, I think, was that Christmas or was that Halloween that you went?
It was Halloweeny.
It was Halloweeny time.
Yeah, because it was right in between. I landed and it was like the last. I got to come for the last day, and then the changeover to I made it the very last day I was here was like the first day of Christmas decorations. It was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, my wife was stuck with me. Like
you did. You guys went on a date
for a whole day at Magic.
You guys went on a date.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I really want to go to this party. This is my favorite not after hours extra event that Disney does. But
yeah,
one in August, it's just unbearably hot.
True.
Like you sitting in Virginia now, it's 99 degrees at night. And then once you start getting into real Halloween season, September and October, I just can't justify shelling out $150 or $200. I mean, even for just me and Krista to go, it's $300 if we want to go during the actual Halloween season. So $300 to $400 is a lot of money right now.
It is. What a bummer. But people are gonna pay it. So that's just.
And so here's a question for you. And I know, have you been seeing these stories pop up about Disney being deserted and people not being here?
Maybe for a day.
Which, if you look at wait times, is not correct. But correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like in previous years, at this point, there were more sold out dates for this event than we see right now. As of right now, as it stands now, it's the second day and Halloween. Those are the only 2 sold out days.
Yeah.
So I feel like
you could be right, because I mean, you're talking, it's what, 2 weeks away?
Yeah. I mean,
2.5 weeks away?
2.5 weeks away. I would figure there would be, especially in that first month where it's cheap. I figured that those would be sold out, I mean, people are taking pictures of Disney locations and there's nobody around. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's full 100% Disney's deserted. Pictures I see are, people waiting to get in the parks. I have some friends there this week that are down traveling from Maryland, and I saw their pictures on their Facebook page, and there were hundreds of thousands of people, it seemed like, waiting to get into Magic Kingdom. I read some Facebook stuff today that's like the parks are insane. So I don't know if there's a lot of truth to the parks are deserted, but it seems like feast or famine.
Yeah. I mean, I think attendance has been down, but then I see pictures of like you say, people entering, and it's like, oh gosh, it looks like insanity.
Yeah. I don't know what to make, because half of me's like, oh, let's head over to the park because everybody says it's empty. But then by the time you get geared up to go, you're like, wait a minute, the waits for everything are an hour, so it can't be that empty. So I don't know.
So there you go.
There you go.
Get your tickets now, folks.
If you want to go to the Halloween party, there's plenty of availability. And don't forget, you can go in at I think it's 7.
Yeah, I'm on Blog Mickey, so I don't even know. But yeah, typically it's fairly early. And it doesn't even say like what the hours are here, but this is not the point of that post. So
yeah. Just don't forget you can go in early. You don't have to buy a ticket for the day of the party.
Yes.
If you plan on going.
Save you a Magic Kingdom Park Day ticket.
That's
for that.
Right. That's
event.
Right.
Okay, what you got?
So my story is finally, after 467 weeks, we may be getting close to the opening of Moana Journey of Water.
It can't be.
It can't be. So it appears that the walls may be coming down soon. It looks like cast member previews are starting this week. So people will actually get to experience this up close and personal. So if you don't know, or if you've been living under a rock, the Journey of Water sits within the monorail loop, putting it close to Spaceship Earth and the World Celebration within the world nature. It'll be told the story of Moana will be told along with the story of water in all its forms. So I'm excited about this. They've dubbed it edutainment. That's such a Disney thing to say. Like, this is edutainment, but I kind of dig it because that's going back to like old school Epcot, right? Epcot used to be super educational and fun at the same time. So this is kind of turning us back to old school Epcot. It took longer, I think, maybe as long as building Tron, but you never know. So it'll be exciting to see when it actually opens up and we get some real picture and video from inside. But that starts cast previews this week. Journey of Water.
All right, there are a couple things that I have to ask you about because I chuckled out loud. You probably heard me at both of them. One, you said the walls were coming down at Epcot. I think we need to be a little bit more specific.
That's true.
I do not believe all of the walls are coming down. There's a lot of walls. There have been walls up pre-COVID.
Correct.
And if you don't remember, COVID was in 1864. So that's how long the walls have been up. We made a joke very early on in our show that, what do we call it? Epcow. And what was it? The park of festivals and Epcot. That's
Epcot.
But yes, experimental prototype community of walls. We didn't coin that one. But we definitely coined the festivals. Yeah. So let's just be clear. It's most likely the walls around the Moana edutainment area.
Yes.
And then you also said something else. And I'm sure you got this from Disney. The many forms of water. How many? How many forms?
There's liquid water. There's solid water. There's
what's solid water?
Ice.
But it's still water.
That's what it said. The many forms of water. So it is evaporated, it rains, it flows, and the process starts again. So
okay. The Journey of Water. That makes sense for me.
Hence the name.
Hence the name. But let me give whatever we land with here.
It says wow. There's all sorts. Ladies and gentlemen,
it's our first time.
The experience will include edutainment elements as guests learn about, wait for it, the Journey of Water. Back in April, there were educational signs. It's a self-guided tour, which is kind of funny. Like, you just wander wherever. So how do you know if you're taking the correct journey of water?
I have a question for you. Have you been on the monorail from Magic Kingdom to Epcot lately?
No, I have not.
I'm just curious. I have not seen anything about what it looks like. But man, I just looking back at the artwork, it looks massive.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's big and it's cool. It's got I think a 15-foot tall statue of Tafiti. There's big rock things and waterfalls. They did bring over, I did read today or last week, they did bring over some of those jumping fountains like they have up near the Imagination Pavilion.
Nice. That
are always cool around Figment. So I think they brought some of those over as well. So yeah, it just looks like a lot of water.
It's the Journey of Water.
It's the journey.
That's right. In all of its forms.
Sorry, it's a 16-foot tall Tafiti, not 15.
That's pretty big.
That's big.
Okay, good news.
That's the news.
Or good. It sounds like I have good news. I don't have good news. I don't have bad news. I should just say I don't have any news. But we just delivered the news. So you know what? I'm just gonna hit that button and keep going. People are so glad they tuned in this week.
We're so glad. They're like, thank you for telling us what we already have known.
God, these guys are idiots. Okay. We have a riveting conversation that I always would love people's thoughts on this, but no one ever reaches out to us. So here's your invitation. Brandon said, what do you want to talk about this week? And I thought about the only thing that keeps popping up in my mind is how well, when Disney opened these parks, how well, this is a Dave word, they sectionized everything in the parks. It was very well thought out. The idea of different lands, in air quotes, are clearly positioned, clearly thought out of what is not only in them, but even sometimes the transition from one land to another was thought out really well. I mean, the best one as of late I would think of is an Animal Kingdom into Pandora. I mean, such a phenomenal transition, almost magical, of how you go and the rest of the sounds of the park just disappear and all you hear is like the sound of Pandora. It's amazing. But you know, they did this 70 years ago at Disneyland and 50 years ago at Walt Disney World. But things are starting to come unhinged.
They've gone rogue.
There's one area that I'm extremely struggling with. It is not a new topic of conversation, but I wanted to dive in. I mean, at first I was like, well, let's go back to Reimagineer. And I don't really have that many ideas. It can kind of lean on that, but I more just want to talk about, like, what can they do to salvage it? Because it's not going to work anymore. And we say this in love, but they're clearly not going to change the name. And that is, Frontierland isn't going to really work anymore as Frontierland. It's probably always going to be called that. They're not going to do anything. But really, the only thing that's going to fit into Frontierland is going to be, I mean, I guess, well, let's flip the script. The only thing that's not going to fit anymore is Splash Mountain, because it's gone, and it's Tiana's.
Which is unfortunately, the centerpiece of that entire area.
Yeah, literally the first thing you come to.
Correct. Unless you count like the building where like Pecos Bills is and the Country Bear Jamboree. Yeah. That's technically part of Frontierland, because you come out of Liberty Square and you run into that. So technically that's still Frontierland. But the centerpiece is the now scaffold covered castle of mountain.
So we talked about a little bit the best today. So Tom Sawyer's Island still kind of works. Like, I really like, I was trying, I kept sending you a name. I was like, well, let's just rename it. How about, since they love lands, I was like, how about Heartland? But then I was like, well, the Heartland of America is not New Orleans.
No.
But what about like Americana? Like, that kind of works, right? Ish.
Yeah, but then you have that whole Liberty Square area, which is kind of Americana. So like, they have the Liberty Bell there. They got the Liberty Tree Tavern. They got the Liberty Bell. It's full. Now that I'm saying that area is full of Liberty. Like, there's a lot of things named Liberty in that. But I don't think you can extend. You can't just make a big Liberty Square. Like, you just can't make America that big.
But it needs to be renamed, which again, we reiterate is not going to happen.
It does.
So I think there's some ways that we can work it better, right? Like, Pecos Bills can go away, and like, I mean, literally the whole thing around Tiana was her opening her own restaurant because her dad's food and recipe was amazing, right?
Yes.
So clearly, like, how can we not take the opportunity to dump Pecos Bills and add like a Tiana themed restaurant? So that's easy, and that helps you flow out. But it's almost like you say, with, you got Liberty Square, and then you roll into Country Bear Jamboree, which is Frontierland. Then we're going to roll back into New Orleans, and then we're going to roll back into Frontierland when we head back to the back. So there's a couple of things that we could do. I also feel like, well, I said this today, and I think you originally said retheme it, but I feel like what's the name of the boat? Is it Liberty Bell?
Yeah.
Like
I think there's a couple of them, but yeah,
that
Liberty
kind of
Bell.
feels like an old New Orleans swing type boat, which they could then retheme all of the early American history and Indians and wildlife that's all around the backside of the boat ride. That could be easily turned into more of a New Orleansy, jazzy, swingy type of thing. But then it still surrounds the island. So you got to change the island. You see our quandrum, people? This is what I'm struggling with.
This is a quandary that we have pondered all day. Yeah, I think it's I think because where you're trying to stick Tiana's Bayou Adventure, it creates a giant paradox. There's no way, unless you change the entire front end of that area, which means starting at Country Bears and getting rid of that, then changing over Pecos Bills, then Tiana's. You could make some sort of New Orleans from the end of Liberty Square. Like Liberty Square could morph to New Orleans, get past Tiana, and then we had obviously those blue sky ideas from D23 earlier this year. So keep Big Thunder, start Frontierland at Big Thunder, and then expand Frontierland. So then, you know, puts instead of Villains and Coco or whatever they said they were going to put back there, just build Frontier land like things, you know, expand Big Thunder to have 2 tracks, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think your idea works the best. Because we already have New Orleans. What is it called? Is it New Orleans Square in Disneyland? Is that what they call it? Is it Square? And they have Frontierland. They have both. And Disneyland is considerably smaller than Disney World.
Yeah.
So I think even if they don't expand it, I think the only thing that could really kind of work is you keep the island the same and you keep Big Thunder Mountain the same. But now you make Frontierland once you pass by what is it? Tiana's Bayou Adventure? Is that the full name of it?
Yes.
Can you believe I remembered something?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Hey, weather update. It is now 7:03 p.m. and we are at 98 degrees. Ooh. We have dropped.
You better put on a parka.
That's right. So what I think would be, this is really dumb because we're really just trying to like stick a square peg in a round hole. You now move the entrance to where the boats go back and forth all the way over by the exit of the Big Thunder Mountain. And that's how you get back and forth to the island. And those 2 small areas remain Frontierland. But you see how we're having to like force this to happen? Like, just come up with a new name. But New Orleans Square and then Frontierland would be the wise choice. Yeah.
The easiest wise choice. I mean, the restaurant retheme is simple. Like that's just changing signage, changing menu, putting Tiana meet and greet or something in there. That's easy. I don't know what you do with Country Bears. And this is what I was struggling with today. Like those are 2 obviously nostalgic attractions right at Disney World. So you got Country Bear Jamboree, you got Big Thunder Mountain. Pretty close to both being original attractions. So we've talked about this on the show before, but what are people's ties to those things? If they take out Country Bears and they make it, I'm just making up things, but there's a Bayou sing-along or something. They make the animatronics frogs and crocodiles and things like that, and Oogie Boogie, all sorts of crazy weird stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I
mean, they did have back in the day. Do you remember like about 30, 40 miles from DC, they were trying to have build a Disney theme park and it got shut down by like elected officials back then.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And that was called Disney's America. Like that could work-ish.
Oh yeah. I mean, that could definitely work. But again, like, are we trying to make it America or are we trying to make it New Orleans? Like,
I don't know.
It's just, this is the quandary, people. Like
it's not Frontierland.
It's definitely not Frontierland, which is, they kind of painted themselves into a hole, picking an attraction that was dead smack in the middle of this original famous land. So I just don't, the only way I can see it working is that you make the front part of it New Orleans Square or New Orleans or whatever you're going to call it, and then you make Big Thunder back to whatever that is, Frontierland. That way you're not getting rid of it, that way you're not taking nostalgia from people. You know,
I mean,
the original
okay.
intent's still there.
Here's a question for you. Is Pecos Bills is on the corner, correct?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to where the walk, like the back of Pecos Bills comes out of the walkway to Pirates.
So we could call that area right there, including her ride, Tiana's Corner.
Could.
And then leave front, like that's an idea. I like that. Like
you could, but then you got like, still you got the Country Bear problem. Like that's,
yeah, I know. And then you just have to, like, in order for it to work, you have to take the path along the water out of when you leave Country Bear Jamboree, you have to go along the water. So it all ties together.
It's just, there should be a cast member there that just says, if you're trying to experience Frontierland to the full, please take the dock walk back to Frontierland.
There you go.
If you're trying to go to New Orleans Square,
head on over to Tiana's Corner.
Head on over to Tiana's Corner.
But I feel like they should call that should be the name of the restaurant. But it could work both ways. Okay, so let's talk about why. I'm just going to be honest now. Why I really wanted to talk about this is we have a problem at all of Walt Disney World property with the location of a certain snack that at Disneyland is not only like you can walk out of Disneyland, turn right and get it there, or you can go into Disneyland and head towards New Orleans Square and get it inside the park. And a Tiana themed restaurant would most certainly bring them to Magic Kingdom, and that is beignets. So we have got to make this restaurant come to life because beignets, like we should just call all of Frontierland beignets here. This is the only reason why I want to talk about it is how do we get more location? How do we not go to a hotel to get beignets? That's really the biggest thing.
I agree. They're so popular, and so many people already make the trek to Port Orleans French Quarter to get these things. Like they should definitely put them in, and it gives me hope. Like every time you walk by on the outside of where they're doing the remodel for Bayou Adventure, there's a sign that says Tiana's Fine Food. So
yeah.
You know, it gives me hope that there's going to be, because that doesn't seem like it would go with the attraction. You know what I mean? There's nothing like, why would you put this at Bayou Adventure through the swamp and down waterfalls and things like that? There's no reason to have a food advertisement there. So
yeah,
to me, it seems like the planning is there for some sort of, whether it's a stand, whether it's like you only can get it in the restaurant. I would prefer for it to just be a stand.
Yep. It'd be a long line.
It would be a long line, but you know, then we could just sneak over to French Quarter because no one would be there.
You're right. But I would quickly turn, if you know me, when we go to Magic Kingdom, our first attraction is always Haunted Mansion. It will now turn into the line to get beignets will be the first stop.
There will be a virtual queue for the line for beignets in New Orleans Square at Disney World. I guarantee you.
Yes.
I guarantee
that will be the first stop, and the last stop, and the middle stop, and yeah. Okay. Any other ideas? Like, okay, so what would you turn the island into? I mean, I know we talked about this on a Reimagineer, but now that like there's like we know that this is New Orleans, would you change any of that, or would you only change the boat ride? Like,
no, I would change the island to not necessarily a place that you could. I would change it to not necessarily a place that you could go to. Like it's something that you see from the boat. And my idea would be to make it kind of like there'd be big oak trees with like that crazy Spanish moss hanging off. And then those big kind of, and they could be facades. I don't think they'd really build the whole thing, but it would have those big New Orleans style mansions, you know, with the big patios and the porches on the second story. And that's kind of like, it's just part of the scenic Memphis Belle or Bayou boat tour or whatever it is. I don't know that Tom Sawyer Island needs to be there as like a people sucking apparatus.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like they used to have a quick serve over there. Now it's never open. So like, I don't think it's there strictly to have people go there. That's just kind of like, hey, if the lines are long and there's nothing else for us to do, let's go check out Tom Sawyer Island. I don't know people are clamoring to get to Tom Sawyer Island. So my idea would be make it that New Orleans-y style thing, incorporate that into New Orleans and make that if you want to go over there and you walk through the streets of New Orleans. It's like a little hauntedville.
Yeah.
And then
That'd be cool.
you get to the other side of it. You can see the Haunted Mansion over there. Haunted Mansion visually kind of fits in with New Orleans style stuff. So I think you take Tom Sawyer Island away from Frontierland. The only thing I'm leaving Frontierland, if I'm doing it right now, is Big Thunder Mountain, and I'm expanding behind it.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing.
These land back there, and the fact that Disney's mentioned it means that that's a real option.
Yeah, because I don't think the island is not connected enough. You would have to build something else to get you to the rest of Frontierland. So I think you use the island without having to expand your existing infrastructure. Use it to your advantage. Just make it a set piece, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if you could have real live actors, but I know that it would be. I mean, they want to pay more people, so. Yeah. But that would be a unique thing that you could like see from the boat.
Yep.
Be really cool. Yeah. So you got, what else is along there? You've got Country Bear Jamboree. You got Pecos Bills, but there's something else there. Is it just another little shop?
I think isn't that where is that where the arcade, like the shooting arcade is?
Yes. Yeah. See, all that fits so well. Dang it.
Yeah, so I don't know. That again, you'd have to get you'd go Frontierland to New Orleans to Frontierland. So it's like, I wish it was like a Jenga piece or a jigsaw puzzle. You could just pick it up, slide. Slide everything.
I mean, I think about like the most desolate place in Magic Kingdom is certainly the walk from Splash Mountain to Pirates. Yes. And so I know that it's not like if you're walking from Splash to Pirates, on the right, there's just nothing but trees. But I know that is backstage where they're parking float vehicles. Yeah. So I don't know how far they can go back that way, but that would be ideal. Like what you could do is almost trick everybody into saying that Splash Mountain is no longer part of Frontierland, and you take Pecos Bills, make it her restaurant, you take Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and then you turn left and there's more New Orleans-y things that go halfway down, almost right to remember where they used to have that Pirates, isn't there like a little building?
The quest
yes
thing. Yeah,
all the way to there. Add a few more New Orleans-y decorations, maybe that's where the beignets are in the because it's like the lonely trek to get to the next place I mean, I know what sucks is you come out of Splash way over by Big Thunder Mountain, but at least when you turn the corner, the big mountain is right there.
Yeah.
You could trick us. I would fall for your trap if you continued some New Orleans stuff around and down, and we'll say, well, that's just the far end of New Orleans, and then the rest of it's over here. That I think could work really well. That would be the best option that my poor brain could come up with.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's a lot of wasted space right now. It's just like a rest area, and there's like the place that serves waffle fries that's never opened. That could be the beignet stand. Again, you could put some sort of New Orleans-y facades there to make it seem like they're big mansions there. But to me, you still run into that problem. Like you go right, if you go left, that stuff is all cool. But if you go right, you have the mountain, and then you're in Frontierland. So we've still run into the problem. How do you transition from the Bayou to Frontierland in that one, at the bottom of that bridge, when you come over the bridge right by Splash, and then it's Big Thunder. Like, how do you make that transition? Which I can't wrap my brain around how they're going to do it. If I know anything about Disney, I think they're just going to stick Tiana's Bayou Adventure there and just be like, it is what it is. Have fun with the new ride. People will be so enamored with
celebration.
It. Yeah, it's people.
Another thing they could do back on the left would be where like if you turn left and headed that way, the Tiana's meet and greet could be there. That would be another, like, wouldn't take a lot of space, wouldn't need a lot. It's already backs up to backstage. You could come out of said facade, and there you like your little meet and greet. So there's definitely some opportunity if they wanted to tie it in that way. I think that would be the best way. And then they just say, yeah, you coming out like this, you got this, you got Frontierland and the sweeps along to the right, and you've got New Orleans Square that sweeps around to the left around the corner. Like it would, if you said it, people would be like, oh yeah. Where right now it's kind of like, no, you have Frontierland, Tiana, and then more Frontierland.
And we all know Disney is the master at making your eyes go where they want them to go. So I'm sure however they would, however they'd set it up to funnel people would make it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't realize that Frontierland was still there. Much like they did. I mean, their transitions from like Toy Story Land to Galaxy's Edge are amazing. Like you're walking, you hear the toy music, and then you take one step and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't hear any of that anymore.
Yeah.
So I know the way that the Imagineers come up with that stuff, it'll be awesome, whatever they do. But right now I really am concerned that they're just they're putting all their eggs in the basket of Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to be so awesome that we don't have to do anything to anything else around it until people get tired of Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah.
That's the fear that I have with those guys.
They say this is going to be the next and best, greatest thing in Magic Kingdom until it's not.
Correct.
You've got seeing how that was your favorite Disney attraction. I mean, it's going to take a lot for you to be like, oh yeah, this is better. It's going to
100%.
I think you're going to say like, it's a great ride. I still miss the original, I don't think it's going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be like I don't know. Okay, dare I say, could it end up being like Ratatouille? I don't think it'll be that extreme, but like there was so much hype, and I'm just like, well, I went to the one in France and it was okay.
And
then you go to it and you were like, I'll put it politely, you were extremely underwhelmed.
I was definitely underwhelmed from all, and I obviously didn't experience it in Paris, but I thought it was a cute ride, but I didn't get off going, man, I can't wait to stand in line for an hour for that again.
If it's when we went to Paris, it was a walk on. Because it's been there for 20 years or however long it was there. Right. Like, it's not worth an hour and a half wait.
Yeah. And I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be awesome. I mean, the ride system is not changing. The ride track is not changing. Just the aesthetics around it. So, I mean, Splash Mountain is awesome. Obviously, my favorite attraction. But let's be honest, it could have used a little updating. It was super old. It smelled super musty. It smelled like that old like pool locker room in your neighborhood that you hung out at the summertime. Like that's what it was. But that was part of the nostalgia. But I don't anticipate that I'm going to get off of Tiana's Bayou Adventure and be like, wow, that was awful. I'm never riding it again.
Yeah.
Long live Splash Mountain. I think it's going to be fine. And depending on what kind of animatronics and story they try to tell, it could be great. It could end up being my new favorite.
Yeah. Let's hope, right?
Let's hope. I hope. But that has not been the track record with Disney. Everything that's new has opened. I haven't been like my new favorite thing. I don't think I've said that since Flight of Passage.
Yeah, that was, I know I've said it multiple times, but I audibly said the word wow 3 or 4 times the first time I said that. Like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. I've never had a reaction to an amusement park ride like that in my 48 years. It was something crazy. It was just crazy. Yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to think back to the film. Because they float down the bayou, right?
Yeah.
Because doesn't the little mosquito help them? Trying to remember the film. Gosh, and I love that movie. What do they float down the river on? Is it a log? So meaning my question, are they going to be changing the ride vehicles at all? Or does the log still work for the log flume?
I think from the art that we saw, I think it was still going to be the log. I mean, they may shine it up and make it look better, but I think I think the ride system and the track are still the same.
Okay. The track I figured would be, but I didn't know if somehow they could.
Now,
I'm sure they will change it somehow.
One thing in the model, though, that I'm just looking at, several pictures, is we know the difference between Splash Mountain and in California and here is the seating arrangement. Here in Florida, you were side by side.
Yeah.
There, you were single file front to back.
Mm-hmm.
From the pictures that I'm seeing, that I'm looking at now while we're talking, it looks like the ride vehicle is that single file.
Okay, so they could be new ride vehicles.
It could be a new ride vehicle. Yeah, every picture of the model shows a single file line of people. So that could
and while
be
they're spending, I don't want them to change. We'll call it. I know it's in water, but for lack of a better term, I don't want them to change the floor plan. But I would be happy if they pulled the track and laid new track and had new ride vehicles, because there are some sections that were quasi painful on the lower back. So it would not break my heart if they just replaced all that, but obviously kept the same floor plan.
Yeah.
So while you're spending the money, do it right.
Do it right. Go full replacement.
Because if not, it's literally just a new soundtrack and a new paint job.
That's
right. Am I right?
And yeah, and it shouldn't take 2 years to do that.
No. So
I'm hoping that we're gonna get a little bit of a new track, a little bit of new ride vehicles, and I'm excited. I hope there's more music on this one. I mean, I loved Splash Mountain, but the one thing that it had going against it, I think, is it had the same song through the whole thing until you got to the end, and it was zippity doo dah. But I would like to see this one kind of much like Frozen, even though we know my feelings about the Frozen ride. Every time you go into a new section of the attraction on Frozen, there's a different piece of music or a different song from the movie, which keeps it exciting, right? So I would hope that, we know how many drops were on Splash Mountain. I think there's, 7 or 8 different drops. So it would be nice during Tiana's Bayou Adventure if every time you went down a drop, you went into a different musical section of the attraction.
Right.
Is what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Egregious. I egregious with you.
Egregious. I agreed with you.
I mean, I think we've slayed it.
I think we have. I know this is a conversation that you and I have often about, because we're like, this is just, it's never going to work. So we're anxiously awaiting any additional information we're going to get with this. Right now, it's just, we are retheming this, and that's all the news is. You don't hear anything else about anything else coming, which concerns me.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. And it's the track record of what? Just wait and see.
Just wait. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it should be good. Welcome to Frontierland. That is also New Orleans.
Welcome to Frontierland Square. Beignets.
There you go. Let's just rename the area beignets are sold here. Rolls off the tongue. Okay. Yeah,
that's what I got.
Rob will be back with us next show. You will not have to deal with this chaos and witty banter. But I liked this. I think it was worth it. And I feel like coming into it, I was like, I still had, as much as we talked about it, I didn't have a clue of like what I thought would make sense. Now I have some ideas of what I think will make sense, but will never happen.
Will never happen. Or if they do, how in the world are they going to execute it?
Yeah. It's a great question.
I feel you. It's a great question. I look forward to Disney's execution. But apparently no one is coming to Disney anymore, so maybe they'll cancel the whole project and it'll just be Scaffold Mountain.
There you go. Without beignets, and we'll still have to go to the hotel. Oh, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We love doing this. I mean, I guess we can start talking about I think we have some guests. It's been a while since we have some guests, but I think we have some on tap that we're hopefully can squeeze 1 or 2 in this summer. We'll continue to talk to Rob about that, but it'd be nice to have some cool guests come on. One that Rob is connected with is a really great artist. So I'm excited that no one will know, but you will have certainly seen his work everywhere. So I'm excited about, to talk about him and how you land that gig and what it's like and all those kind of fun things. But for now, we're just trying to figure out Frontierland.
We're just trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Next week's show, what's going on with Frontierland Part 2?
Yes. Be sure to not tune in.
This is
Rob's going to be like, yeah, Rob's going to be like, I have thoughts.
This is an 8-part investigation discovery series.
Where's our investigative music? Nope. Nope. No, okay, I'll give up. Don't have investigative music.
We really need some new sounds.
Mm-hmm. It's really easy to do. Ask me why I haven't done it. I don't have an answer.
I don't know. Because those are still the OG sounds.
That's right. That's right. What's up here? Man, there is nothing like trips to the It's just me and stupid sounds. All right, until next time, everybody. Bicycle.
Peace. Tribute to Rob.